So there hasn't been a question up the back. I'm happy to move it around. Yep.
You've mentioned hazard reduction. There's a bit of talk out there on the ground as well about the Greens being blamed and environmentalists being blamed for the state of these bushfires. Do you buy into that at all?
Look, there's been a lot of blame being thrown around, and now's a time to focus on the response that is being made. Plenty of people have blamed me, people have blamed the Greens, people have blamed, who knows. Honestly, blame doesn't help anybody at this time. An over-analysis of those things, I think, is not a productive exercise. The appropriate exercise at the moment is coming together, as David was just saying. That's the other piece of feedback that I get in response to a lot of the noise and blame and commentary and analysis on particular issues that are a long way away from the main issue which we're needing to focus on. And there's a frustration in elements of the community that too much attention is being placed on that at the moment, and there is a need for the community to want to come together. Despite the great frustration, despite the heavy sense of loss and the heavy sense of grief and the fear. I mean, one part of this fire crisis and catastrophe across the country, which is not unprecedented in one way, but its extent, I think, is more extreme than we've seen, and that is the smoke and the haze that sits over this city now, that sits over my home city in Sydney, that sits in many places along the coast and the fire-affected areas. And that haze, that smoke, apart from its direct health effects, which are also of concern, really does, I think, impact on people's sense of well-being, and that can have broader impacts about how people are feeling through these events. And despite all that, I've been so impressed by the calmness and the support that people have provided. And so, I understand that. I really do. Jenny and I understand it. I mean, our kids are here. They breathe the smoke like anybody else, and we have the same concerns that others do who would be in an area that is not impacted directly by fire, but these things. But it makes it very ever-present in people's minds. And I can understand that, how that contributes to how people are feeling about this issue around the country. And so that is acknowledged. But what most importantly is needed is that we just keep working together. And we are. Premiers, commissioners, prime ministers, local mayors, local volunteer workers, police, emergency services, paramedics, rural fire service volunteers, emergency services, Sir John's ambulance. The list is long. It's incredibly long. And then there are those other stories of incredible kindness as people have gone to the checkout with a bag full of groceries or things that they've needed, and they've looked like they were in terrible distress, and the person before them paid for the groceries before they even showed up. I've heard that story many times. And it is a touching story about what is the real spirit and Australia's real response to these disasters.